So here's your top 12 tight ends, according to me, from a fantasy perspective, not so much a talent skill perspective. Let's go 12 to 1. These are your tight end ones. It is like eeny, meeny, miny, mo, throwing darts. But I'm going to go Tyler Higbee at 12. He had over 500 yards over the last 5 games of last year. He's got chemistry with Goff. They paid him. Yeah, he's doing straight 100-yard games. Everett's never really proved himself consistently, so Higbee's the guy. TJ Hawkinson at 11, last year's 8th overall pick. He had some injuries, struggled without Stafford. Guess what? Stafford is back and looks better than ever so far in training camp. Year 2, I expect to jump. Hunter Henry, 652 yards, 5 touchdowns in just 12 games last year. It's hard for me to put him higher than this. I know you Chargers fans are going to be mad at me. He's never played a full season. Can't do it. Hayden Hurst at 9. Former first rounder with the Ravens. Fresh start in Atlanta. Not sharing looks with Andrews anymore. He's taken over for Austin Hooper, who caught 75 balls just last year. He had 97 targets. Love it. Gronkowski is at 8. I'll get to him in a second. Let's really quickly touch on Ingram. Jason Garrett raving about him. He's talented, undeniable. He's missed 13 games in the last 2 years. That makes him tough to put him any higher than 7 on this list. But if we get to Gronk, almost nobody has him in their top 12. That is crazy to me. Let me give you some perspective. A lot of people are saying he's going to be sharing targets with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter. The last time we saw Gronk, which is another thing people are pointing out as a negative, it was a down year from the fantasy perspective. He had his worst year. He still had 682 yards and 3 touchdowns in 13 games. He still finished as the 11th best tight end. So over the last 3 years, I just did the math, people. You got to listen to this. The 10th best tight end averaged 602 yards and 5 touchdowns. I didn't just do 1 year, 3 years. Goddard, Vance McDonald, and Cameron Brate. I don't care about Evans and Godwin. If Gronk is healthy, you think he can't get 600 yards and 5 touchdowns? That's more than reasonable, and that makes him a top 10 tight end. There we go. Gronk. Let's move on, guys. 6 to 1. At 6, I've got Austin Hooper. He was 6th last year with close to 800 yards despite missing 3 games. I know there's a lot of mouths to feed in Cleveland, but guess what? Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley were on the field with him in Atlanta, and he's still 8. The Browns broke him off for a reason. Darren Waller, breakout star of 2019, 90 catches, over 1,100 yards, just 3 touchdowns. Hate to see that. But I think he's the real deal, and he might see tons and tons of targets, even though they did make some additions. I think he stays top 5. 4, Zach Ertz. Okay, I don't love the ceiling of Zach Ertz. I don't think it's as high as some of these other guys, but he's here because of consistency and dependability. You know you're getting at least 80 catches, 800 yards, and 5 touchdowns from him every year. At 3, Mark Andrews, we'll get to him in a second. At 2, Kelsey, #1 tight end last year. He's had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons. You cannot go wrong with him. I like Kittle a little bit more. A lot of mouths to feed in KC. I think the Niners offense is going to completely funnel through him, again, given their wideout situation, even with injuries. Kittle still put up 1,000 yards. I think that, we're going to see him break out in a bigger way even this year. Back to Mark Andrews quickly. I want to spotlight him because I think it's a little controversial to some people, thinking that he is going above Zach Ertz. A lot of Raiders fans hitting me up that Darren Waller should be the 3rd guy in that elite tier. I like Andrews, not just because he has 10 touchdowns. There should be some regression there. He had more than any tight end in the league last year. But we're talking about Lamar continuing to develop as a passer, right? Especially when it comes to going downfield. Andrews is going to benefit from that here in his 3rd year. He's got the speed. He's got the hands. Big playability doesn't hurt in the red zone. You know this offense is going to be high scoring, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him sniff double-digit touchdowns yet again. There you have it, my 12 to 1. From George Kittle to Tyler Higbee, I like Mark Andrews more than you do. I like Gronk a lot more than you do. If you don't think he's going to post up and live in the red zone all season long, even if he's not out on every snap, you're kidding yourself. 6 touchdowns, 600 yards, bank it. Gronk's a top 10 tight end.